Hello, my name is William Davison. I ask that you close your eyes. Imagine that you're on the corner of 5th and 53rd in the greatest city in the world. Now open your eyes. Shall we enter? Admission is on me. Today I will be taking you on a tour of the Robert Gober installation inside of the Museum of Modern Art in New York City, titled "The Heart is Not a Metaphor." Robert Gober is an American sculptor whose work is often related to familiar objects such as sinks, doors, and human legs, and most often contains themes of nature, sexuality, religion, and politics. The loosely chronological presentation in this installation traces the development of this remarkable body of work, highlighting themes and motifs that emerged in the early 1980s and continue to inform Gober's work today. Our journey begins in a room that is untitled, like almost all of his works in this installation. This room is filled with sinks made from wood, plaster, and wire lath, and are covered with multiple coats of paint to mimic the appearance of enamel. However, something is missing: the faucets. According to MoMA curator Ann Temkin, the sinks' appearance coincided with the early years of the AIDS epidemic, and their uselessness spoke to the impossibility of cleansing oneself. This symbolism and the emotional aspect of this piece are enhanced when the viewer sees the gravestones. According to Ann Temkin, this is the first object of many that people take a double take at. In addition to these meaningful sinks, Gober created sculptures of children's furniture that represented distorted forms. Gober's fascination with making sculptures by hand reaches an extreme in plywood, built from particle board and laminated fir balsam. The most intense social commentary comes in the second room, which is also untitled. Made from welded steel, linen, plaster, and acrylic paint, Gober creates an empty wedding dress displayed in the center of the room. This sculpture represents the supposed white purity that often triggered or justified the violence depicted on the walls. It also represented the optimistic hopes and dreams of marriage. In 1989, when this piece was created, it was a reminder to many homosexuals that their equality was denied. This idea of denied equality is a motif of the room and is most clearly illustrated on the hand-printed silkscreen wallpaper. Representing the unforgettable reality of United States history, Gober illustrates a white man sleeping in a bed while a black man is hanging by a noose from a tree. This is the only room in the exhibit in which the wall label is by Gober himself. According to Gober, "The reason why I put this image on wallpaper was to make it endlessly repetitive. It's a metaphor to say that this is not an isolated incident." In the third room of our tour, Gober captures a pair of legs made from beeswax and real human hair protruding from a wall. These legs are covered with real trousers and contain candles on the buttocks and knees. Gober started depicting the human figure in 1989 and created many related works. This hyper-real depiction of legs throughout the installation alludes to death and contains memento moris like candles and sheet music. In addition, the legs further emphasize Gober's message about the AIDS epidemic, as he also depicts legs with drain holes. The perimeter of the room is wallpapered with a kaleidoscopic landscape of a beech forest in autumn. This depiction of an autumn forest and the oversized cigar in the center of the room allude to changes in nature and the harvest in the fall. In addition, the cigar connects to the theme of slavery in the second room, and may represent a juxtaposition between the lives of the tobacco harvester and the cigar smoker. Our final room was created in the aftermath of September 11, 2001, and according to Ann Temkin, results from Gober's desire to create a space of refuge and reflection. The overall space is reminiscent of a church, in which there is a central aisle that leads to an altar. At the altar is a headless woman on a cross, who has water coming from her nipples that falls into a jackhammered hole on the floor. The most powerful part of this room is on the sides of the walls, in which Gober has framed 6 pages of the New York Times issue of September 12, 2001. On these pages, the atrocities of the terrorist attacks are portrayed, as well as the emotional stories of the heroes who were killed when the buildings collapsed. Furthermore, Gober draws human figures embracing to enhance the emotional aspect of this room. In addition to the emotional aspect, this powerful room contains a very mysterious aspect, as Gober depicts a pair of legs inside of a bathtub. The door to the bathroom is barely cracked open so that the viewer can only get a small glimpse of the work, which, according to Gober, alludes to baptism. According to Ann Temkin, in this installation, the overt references to Catholicism prompt consideration of the strength of such symbolism in the wake of a recent tragedy. Gober's use of different materials and forms throughout this installation conveys some of the most powerful social commentary seen in the art world today. This versatility also makes his art extremely interesting to look at and study, despite the familiarity of the objects that he creates. This concludes our tour of the Gober installation. I hope that you all learned a little bit about Gober and gained a new appreciation for installations. For more podcasts, please log on to www.itunesstore.com/William Davison. Thank you for listening.